What are the objectives? In today's session, we're still doing the basics. And like I said, I'm not going to leave anything aside, but we'll cover the true meaning of basics. The objective of today, we'll look into how to start your computer. Of course, yesterday I emphasized on how to shut down your system, and you should always develop a culture of best practice, whereby the manner through which you shut down your system will determine the health status of your computer. We will look into properties of Windows, and right now you should be comfortable to understand the difference between a system software and application software. Windows is one of the system softwares. I'm sure you recall we talked about Linux and also Mac iOS. Today we'll also look at the aspect of working with many applications, and this time we're talking about application software. We'll look into the concept of time, and if you recall, if your system's date and time are not updated, the first thing your software always remind you is to go and do the same before you start using your computer. We look into the concept of mouse, how to make sure your mouse is set and you're getting all the functionality and benefits that you can achieve. And again, I wish to remind you about the aspect of keyboard that we were able to cover in our previous class. So when you talk about starting your computers, there are some few things you need to consider. You must know where to go. So how do you locate your and in most instances, there's the icon for Windows down here. So if you go to the left bottom corner of your system, and if you check on the power button, then you have three things. Either you can put your system to a sleep, you can shut it down, or you can restart. Most of the time, we always tell you restart your system so that you can clear some information on the random access memory. From now moving forward, I will encourage you to always use the shutdown button every time you want to close your system. And you do that especially after you have ensured that every application system that you're using are also closed. This will save you a lot of trouble, whereby you find an application system has crashed, or your computer takes longer than usual to process details. So the journey starts with how you shut down your computer and how you switch it on. So I hope after today you will put that into practice. You can also log in into your system, and this is for security purposes. Of course, if you have keyed in a specific password, then all you have to do is enter the same and you should be good to go. So what does it mean when you say logging off? Logging off works more or less as shutting down your computer. And when you say you're shutting down your computer, all you're doing is you are closing all the programs that were actively on use. How do you know the programs that are active? We mentioned about the taskbar. So if you check on my screen, the items you're seeing down here on the taskbar are the ones that are active. Again, I encouraged you to always have the application that you use more often, you have to pin them in your taskbar. And this is so because it makes your work efficient and easy to access those applications. Let's talk about switching between users. And of course, you have the ability to have more than one user in a system. And when you switch between users, all programs keep running and the computers will just switch to another user. So just because you're using a different user, and what I mean here is you can borrow my system or a computer and you can be able to apply or use every function by having a new user. And I think even browsers are now adopting this approach, whereby you can have, for instance, Chrome, and with Chrome, you can log in with different users at the same time. So it's more like an account or a portal that you can be working with. So how do you go about that? You can go to the start or the Windows icon, and you have options to select user as what I'm displaying at the moment. So if you look down here, I'm the only user in my computer. Forgive me for using the word computer, because I clarified yesterday there's nothing like computer. So it's either you're using, so you should understand the different components of a system. But for purpose of communication, when I mention computer, I mean the combination of both the operating system, that is the software part, and the hardware part. So the goal here is, as long as you are trying to look into privacy and ensuring that all your data is protected, so you can have your user with a password so that nobody can access your user account, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot lend or have someone else use the same computer. So they can just log in with a different user. Let's talk about restarting the computer. And of course, it's a straightforward process. So the same icon where you are switching on and off, you also have a chance to restart your system. If you have a running program on, of course, you'll be prompted with the option to either save the changes or cancel the restart. And like I said, the best practice is if you want to shut down your system, you start with the applications. Make sure all your work are safe, and then go and restart or do the shutdown. Let's talk about properties of Windows, and these will shed light with some of my students. And I will not say it's a shame, but it's uncalled for if you will call yourself a graduate and you cannot maneuver your way just in your system. Let me clarify on how to access applications, because this was arrived at in one of my sessions. And for instance, if you're looking for Excel, or if I tell you open Excel, on your left bottom corner, there's this search icon. And even if you don't understand what it means, if you take your cursor and point there, you will notice that you are told type here to search. Next to it, if you just point at it, it says what? Start. So these two button that you're having here are what you need to look for. Then Excel will be either its file that you're looking for, then you'll be able to see it from here, and you'll be told that it's an app. So just next to it, you'll see the wording app. So it means that is the application that you're about to open. And like I said, pin these softwares or these applications that you use more often in your taskbar. How do you do that? If I right click, I have several options. Either you run as an administrator, that is an of just installing. I know I'm here. So if you want the software to be pinned on the start icon, you will select from here, but I would prefer you pin them in the taskbar. You also have a chance to unpin or pin. It's my belief this is clear and straightforward. So moving forward, we can always access any application in our system. On properties of a window, in this case, is the foreground of an active or running application. And to best understand it, we should learn what makes up a window, or what are the features or properties of a window. And the properties of a window will enable us to understand and work with the Windows program effectively. Let's start with the title bar. And you can say the title bar shows which program is running in the active window. And it's always at the top of the program. You can move the window to a new position, and we always talk about dragging. So if you just have any window that is open, and I will use an example of a notepad. So notepad is just an application window which operates or can only work thanks to your system window, which is at the moment you're using Windows product. So if you want to drag or play around, as you can see, I can be able to move any window, and it's not just on your screen. You can even drag farthest, whereby you cannot even be able to see all the items. So it's up to you to organize the different windows. And as you can see on my screen, I've been able to develop, or I can be able to see all the different windows and applications that I am using at the moment. And like I said, you can always drag to create space. Let's talk about the menu bar. So the menu bar gives option or commands that can be used when the program is running. And to select a command, we point at an option on the menu. So regardless of the application you're using, so if it's, for instance, the notepad that I've just opened, you go to file and you'll see a lot of options, and you can also open a new window, save, and so forth. So this is more like a menu whereby you can do things like saving, print, or also exit if you are not using that side window. And this is standard even if you go to Excel. You go to